So, brother, if you feel like you're lonely, if you feel like you have anxiety, you're depressed, you need a brotherhood, you need to improve your character, you need to face your fears, fighting, learning how to fight will be your best solution, will be your best bet. Because why? Learning how to fight has all these things. And there's a reason learning how to fight is what I'll call the S tier self improvement. It has every single component of self improvement to it. When you learn how to fight, it exposes your character as a person. That's what my coach says. Because if you're the kind of person who takes shortcuts, right, it shows up in your training. If you're the kind of person who takes shortcuts, it shows up in your fight. So what happens is either you fix your character off training, or your coach fixes your character during fight, and he fixes your character in real life. That's why I see guys are learning how to fight. All of a sudden, they become humble. All of a sudden, they are always the ones never to ever start a fight, and everything connects. Everything that begins to make sense. That fighting itself shows your true nature when shit hits the fan, right? I noticed that because in myself, I had when I started fighting, I had a lot of anxiety in me, I have a lot of fear in me. But these days, the anxiety has reduced. It's still there, but it has reduced drastically. I say this because now I find it easier to do things that are out of my comfort zone. In short, and this is something that people never talk about. The fact that you are being forced to use parts of your body you're not used to before, again, in itself is a form of self improvement where you be like, oh, I am actually going out of my comfort zone. By the way, learning how to fight again, there's a way you boost your confidence because to an extent you're sure that in a fair fight you can take out a number of people in a fair fight. So it's humbling to you. Again, you're humble on the streets, right? Learning how to fight is the most masculine thing you can do. If you look at it, like I said, the gym culture is fucked up these days, right? Guys are being distracted. A lot of guys are in the gym because they want to get some girls, right? And trust me, most guys at the gym aren't getting these girls. But when you come to a place where you learn how to fight, there are less women there. It's more of a brotherhood, right? A brotherhood of people who are serious about improving their lives, right? Again, and this is something that I've noticed that every single fight school I've joined, right? It's not just about coming and going. There's this little bond we form where after every training we sit down, discuss about this, right? Deep topics, and make me realize that it makes sense that everybody learning how to fight, right? Everybody who's learning how to fight takes themselves serious. Now, there's a guy in my one of my other schools, in my vlog, his name is Tommy. If you watch my vlog, you know Tommy. When me and Tommy discuss, we discuss about some deep topics, and I learned a shit ton from him, and I'm like, fuck, people like this actually exist in my country, in my locality, and trust me, this is why I say that learning how to fight will give you that brotherhood that you lack, right? Learning how to fight gives you a sense of presence. Because I remember when I was learning how to fight, my anxiety would sometimes my my anxiety will sometimes shut my brain off where I'm supposed to be making a move, but I'm closing my eyes because of fear. But these days, I'm like opening my eye and keeping my eye focused on the person, making me present in the moment. Before I used to daydream. Now I see myself, I am being much more present while I am training. What does that mean? Some form of self improvement. So I'm still looking for instances. Let me know how to fight actually gives you a sense of impulse control. Sometimes when those crazy thoughts come into your head, right? But because you've practiced and practiced, and when you're practicing, you see chances to do some dumb shit, right, to your partners. But again, impulse control. And the major one thing I'll tell people is the more men know how to fight, right, the more men who know how to fight, the less fights they actually are. Think about it. The more men that know how to fight, the less fight they actually are. Because why? Learning how to fight teaches you respect. Learning how to fight teaches you to be empathetic, to understand from people's perspectives. Because when you're learning how to fight, you're asking yourself, what is this guy trying to do? So you're bringing out street intelligence and book intelligence because we're learning how to fight. There's a textbook version and there's a realistic street version of fighting, right? So I've said this several times. Me, I'm learning mixed martial arts because it's it's an art. It's a blend of different arts together, right? So mind you, there'll be this noise when I make this video, so please bear with me. I mean, that's hitting and everything. So if you're somebody who has that who has that anxiety to approach women, I can tell you for a fact. I've noticed this thing that ever since I began to learn how to fight, right, coupled with some coupled with me listening to talks of Miyoto Musashi, I have come to realize. Hold on. I have come to I've come to realize that learning how to fight is also a spiritual thing because if you know what it takes for you to perform at the highest level for 5 minutes, you will respect everybody who has learned how to fight to one degree or another. So I'm at a place where like people are much. I don't tell you where I am because I mean it's one place where I train. I have multiple places where I train, so um, forgive the noise. The only downside I see to learning how to fight is the injuries, right? And the fact that I'm not a pro fighter, but it's taking away from my time. And because it's taking out of my time, I often ask myself, is it really worth it? When I look at the character I have built over the years, like I said, something that you have to experience for yourself. And one problem I have with the self improvement space is that they give you ideas that when you practice, you think you're improving, right? But there's no way you can learn how to fight and not improve. Because if you really dig it, there are real life consequences for not thinking right. There are a shit ton of consequences for falling out of place. So you begin to think and ask yourself, okay, what the fuck is going on here? Like I said, it forces you to level up. It forces you to think, and then like I said, one thing I've also noticed about martial arts is this, right? Again, as you if you're asking yourself between traditional and mixed, which should you do? The answer is it really depends. I've noticed that the traditional martial arts has some benefits over mixed, and the mixed has some benefits over traditional. A couple of benefits of traditional is you get these values, you get more values, right? You get more values. For mixed martial arts, you get more practicality. Now, one last thing I'll say is you're a beginner learning how to fight. As a beginner, your major problem is that fear, right? Oh, I don't want to get beaten, I don't want to get injured. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. The moment any fighter or anybody who knows how to fight hears that you're a beginner, automatically there is a way they treat you that you know you cannot be off. There is a way they will treat you where they will know that okay, this is a guy I should respect. What I'm saying that is because right now I had a program. This is like my first vlog video. I had a program right now with this dude. I'm currently about 90 kg. He's about 130 kg. And this guy is like using like mid force. He's using mid force and blocking. And then at some point, he asked me a question. He says, "This is the first time like, we're doing something together." He says, "How long have I been training for boxing?" I told him, "Well, it's about 5 months now." Now, he refused to give me a comment. But he told me that if he knew what my level was, he'd have gone lighter with me. And that's the point, right? When people see that you're a beginner, I didn't tell him I was a beginner before I started, right? I was like, let him hit me with a reasonable, friendly hit. Let me see what it's going to feel like. Bro, it is ridiculously heavy because, bro, that thing moves my entire body. Now, I see why there's something called weight class. Now, for those of you who are going to the gym, who are thinking getting big is your answer, let me tell you something. You're kind of fooling yourself because going to the gym will make you look big, will make you look dangerous, but learning how to fight will actually make you dangerous. You don't have to look dangerous, but one thing for sure is that you have what is called that quiet confidence, where you know that if anybody tries you, not anybody per se, but if most guys try you, you're sort of confident in yourself. Right now, I train right now, right here, I train with a pro fighter, mixed martial arts. He goes by the name KO Machine. And one thing for a fact, this guy is small. He's 60 something. But when it comes to like striking, he takes out people who are 80 something, 90 something. That's what he gets when you learn with your own techniques. And again, learning how to fight will make you realize that in life, you have to play to your strengths, not to your weaknesses. People think learning how to fight again is about learning every single thing. No. If you know that this is going to be your strength in a particular fight, use that to your strength. The same thing in life. If you realize that you are more talented towards a particular objective, towards a particular aim, lean more into that. Like I said, it's a no-brainer. There is no way. The only downside to learning how to fight, right? The only downside is the injuries. But bro, think about it. You learn virtues, you become humble, you have empathy, your character becomes better, you become more masculine. Yes, the irony is to some extent, you also learn some feminine stuff. Actually, I'm going to lie to you because there has to be a balance between feminine and masculine. I hate bringing those ideas up in my videos because if you're a beginner with all this mindset, self improvement stuff, your mind will not register that as you need time to improve. Your mind will register it as, oh, Um, Stone says I should be feminine and masculine. No, you're supposed to be more masculine, right? But for example, a typical example is this. With mixed martial arts, what I've learned is if you meet a wrestler, if this is you and this is a wrestler, and two of you are fighting, this is why I say it teach you how to think. Two of you are trying to grab yourselves. You guys are pressing on each other's weight. With mixed martial arts, watch this. He's pushing you, you're pushing him. With mixed martial arts, you can drag him and use him to your advantage because you've understood that you're using his momentum against him, and that is a feminine thinking. Feminine thinking will always use a masculine thinking against. So it's not about being more aggressive, it's about knowing what to apply and when to apply it. Like I said, learning how to fight teaches you how to think. Yes, like I said, I guess I have to go because I still have work to go. I had to like tell my coach that I have to make this video here, and bro, he did. By the way, my first camera died out, so I'm making the video already. So if you're seeing that the video looks a little bit off, I'm a little bit off. Yeah, this is my second attempt of making this video. So yeah, brother, if you ever see any reason to be afraid of learning how to fight, I feel like scrap that idea from your head. Scrap the idea from your head because you're supposed to make you a better man, more empathetic, more humble. But before I find this video, one thing I always want to hammer on is that brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. If you feel like you're lonely, if you feel like you're depressed, if you feel like you're anxious, I believe self-improvement is a solution for you. So, why don't you? A lot of these guys at the gym, right? They aim to look like they're dangerous, but learning how to fight will actually make you more dangerous. And again, because you don't know who people are, you'll be much more inclined to be humble to them. So the fighters that they're just going to try bigger than Coach Ben, and he's like Coach Ben is elder, and it sounds I'm not ready for you to be humble because, bro, your coach might be smaller than you, but bro, he could be able to take you out quick. So and the irony is I'm the biggest among the three of us. When it comes to fighting, something else happened again that I think I'd like to share. Something very interesting, but hold on. So what else I done with my video? So I brought my gloves to one guy, who did not come with his gloves. Yeah, it happened. Brotherhood. So the with the guy who I was like sparring with, the 130 kg guy. So he's like, the 130 kg guy calls me aside and he's like, from what he has seen so far, he feels to believe that I started learning how to box 5 months ago, that I should plan to go pro. I'm like, I don't see any need for me to go pro. But he's like, this is somebody who is way better, trying to lift up, a brother. It's okay, yo, bro. I guess you're good, right? Try to aim as high as you can, right? And that's what you get when you learn how to fight. So people are literally trying to lift you up. Unlike other situations where people just feel bad, because I literally remember my first year in the gym. Not the first year in the gym, so this dude that I encountered was a complete disaster. It was a complete bitch. What's one music that a complete bitch? Let's tell you what happened. So I remember my first time at the gym. I like after like taking like years of break. I was like, I came in, I could only lift about 60 kg, and he was laughing at me saying, I am this tall and yet I'm wasting my body. It got to me at that moment, but I ignored. Sometime later, a couple of months later, we saw in another gym. He was bench lifting 100. A couple of months, so mind you, I'm 100% natural. He's on shakes. Now he's now, so he was squatting. No, he was doing this particular kind of leg press. And when I came there, he didn't believe that I was able to leg press everything he leg pressed. Then somebody came around, he made a comment, but I just ignored him completely. When he saw that I was able to leg press everything, now I didn't think that's a competition. He met me there, and he felt like the more weight he increases, the more he won't be able to like, the more I'm able to catch up. So I caught up with him, and that was how he was able to what do you call it? Kind of like bow and say, okay, you know what? I think this guy is not as bad as I thought. I don't say this as a way of like, because I've never seen that guy again, but I suspect he has traveled because he can't be running from me. That his ego to make a point that he was bigger and he was more muscular than me and stronger than me was his problem. When you saw that I could like press his exact weight, literally what I was natural, it was a big crash for him. Mind you, at that moment I was working out almost every day. So I just remembered at this moment that some guys at the gym are completely nasty. Why the fuck are you comparing yourself to somebody? Even though I've been at the gym for years, obviously. There was no point him doing that. But stuff like, oh, by the way, let me how to fight, right? In a place where guys are building muscles. Bro, it's a crazy flex. I ain't gonna lie to you because everybody literally looks at you like, oh boy. Even the guys that are way more muscular. When they watch people moves at the back, I don't do this to brag because I come at times, I come to the gym when the gym is almost empty. But I want that my time. When I come to the gym when it's empty, and people are like, okay, the few people that see me, and the people that like eventually walk in an hour later, posting at the bag. Some guys are this level of jealousy and vibe that I get, but I ignore them. But for the women tend to like take interest. Some guys that come to meet me, oh, they want to learn how to fight. I'm like, bro, I'm a beginner too, bro. One thing for sure is that you have to be ready to have injuries. And there's something that I've come to realize when it comes to fighting, right? Because like it says, do nothing which is of no use. And that technically means you see people do some complex stuff when they are fighting, and it's like, bro, you don't have to be that complex when you're fighting. You don't have to. Right? So now this is like the one of the gym does not really make an iota of sense to be racking up steady. Oh, okay, now back to the Celtic Queens. I'm not gonna lie, the environment is different. The difference is clear. So I'll tell you as a brother, if you're already a gym bro, go and join a fight club. Even though it's beginner fight to go for, like I've never gone for a fight. I've been sparring, right? One thing I know for sure is that even though I train for the next 10 years without a fight, I have never pressure tested what I'm doing. But now, speaking of traditional versus mixed martial arts, most traditional arts right now, traditional martial arts, they are kind of like, I'll say, fucked up. The reason is because the primary reason I'll say they are fucked up right now is, sorry, is that they don't actually pressure test. They have a limit to one, what they pressure test. Two, they have a limit to how practical their moves are. Typical example now is taekwondo. You kick somebody, you score points, you end it there. But the person is on the floor, right? So in a real fight, what happens if your kick misses? What happens if you're on the ground? Or they flipped you around? What happens in a real fight? You're fucked, right? So people don't realize that, yes, taekwondo is predominantly legs, but at least you have some level of functionality to it. But for mixed martial arts, they're teaching you almost all situations where you're standing, you're lying down, still. Oh boy, my left knee is beginning to. If you're learning how to fight, I would advise that you learn with professionals, people who are. Yes, your coaches can give you drills and shit, right? But professionals, oh my damn, guys will drill the shit out of you. Oh, so I can't be Coach Ben, but Coach Ben has a fight in about 3 weeks. So me training with him, putting me on a different level completely. Again, I'm not sure I mentioned this point, but learning how to fight right, is what I call functional cardio. I mean functional cardio is you're skipping, yeah, it's cardio, it's good cardio. I won't call it bullshit cardio. Imagine you are learning how to fight while getting cardio in. Bro, that's some deep shit, man. Using one stone to kill two birds. Is that saying correct? Yeah. Using one stone to kill two birds. You're still doing some intense cardio, short burst, and still, you're still going hard. So a couple of weeks ago, I was out. I went to support my fight club at somewhere at a place, right? And then I took off my shirt, and everybody began to scream. Now, all I can say is that to me, this looks like a decent body, right? But it's the people who were there. The body was pretty impressive, and I kind of realized that yes, I have been cutting for the last 5 months, barely touching weight, barely lifting. My calories were like pretty okay. Actually, it was less than normal. And to be very frank, for years I've been trying to have. This is not the full abs, but right, obviously I've eaten today and shit. But for a lot of years I've been trying to get this at the gym. And I got it at learning how to fight. So it's almost like that's what I call this functional cardio. Because yes, there's cardio involved. Yes, there's cardio involved. At the same time, there is it's just rewarding basically. So I'm super grateful. I'm just giving you more reasons why, bro, you should go and learn how to fight. You should go out there, not just live to it, not just try to look dangerous and but be dangerous. So like I said, this is not my gym routine. My gym routine happens in the vlog. So I came to just look at what the gym feels like by 12 p.m. My usual time is by 3 p.m. when the gym is virtually empty. I can bounce between I can superset between a shit ton of equipment. I can superset from one end of the gym to the other end of the gym and not be bothered. So right now I feel like the gym is super full, super packed, and bro, I can't do 12 p.m. So I guess my 3 p.m. is my best bet. So, brother, I'm just saying this because speaking of learning how to fight, I remember when I was in high school, how often I got bullied. Now, there's something I have to say about bullying, right? I don't know if any platform might censor me if they get this part, but I don't support bullying. But what I support more is if we really, really want to fight bullying, then we should tell the one who is bullied. We should teach him to stand up for himself because whether I would like it or not, we might be able to control the bullying that happens in high school. What about the bullying that happens on the internet? What about the bullying that happens in the office place? Because there's way so much bullying happening everywhere. So why don't you empower the bullied to stand up for himself? Why don't you have a culture where we promote the bullied to rise up? Because if you really look at our best fighters, our best people, those were people who were heavily bullied at some point. They had to rise up. At some point, they began to fight for themselves. So I really believe that that's the way forward. Instead of preaching this idea of no bullying, I want to preach the idea of the bullied should rise up for himself. Like I said, I really don't want to get cancelled, precisely by the algorithms, because to be very frank, I cannot believe the algorithms hear trigger words and they try to figure out. Because I've spoken about this before on some platforms, and those videos, I said to God, I didn't know they were taken down. I did not know until months later, right? In terms of, when I post, my team just does their stuff, and my assistant just does her stuff, and then I'm with the account. She's not with the account, so she's not checking if my post got taken down or not. But I think as somebody who was bullied, I'll tell you for a fact that please, that's the way I think masculinity should go. We should not attack the bullies, but we should make the bullied stand up for themselves and fight back for themselves. Because bullying happens here, not by the hand. And same thing, learning how to fight tells you about what's happening more in your head than your body. So yeah, so I guess even after eating food, like eating, bro, I ate like a shit ton before coming to the gym. So there was no way. I had to jump into class meeting. Then I jumped into about 2 meetings. No, 3 meetings. Now I'm here, so I had to load up my stomach. I'm surprised that I didn't even doze off after eating that heavy. I didn't feel sleepy after eating that heavy. So brother, see you on like my regular video. See you tomorrow. See you when I see you. This is like my first vlog slash educational video where I'm like doing my thing and like just an idea hits me. I say, you know what? This idea, let me take this idea and move with it throughout my entire day. So I'm going to work now, and my work is going to like span till night. From night, I go to bed. Tomorrow, I'll shoot my vlogs, becoming him. Talk to you soon, and bye for now.